Here it is, finally, after this long arc. It's been long, but it's been a lot of great moments on Black Clover. It's legitimately, I think, one of the best arcs in Shonen in a long time. It's definitely the best arc in Black Clover, and I would put it up there with some of my favorite arcs, something like Tartarus and Battle City, Awaken the Dragons. You know, a lot of really good arcs that just feel a special spot for me. And it's probably not going to end up even the best one in Black Clover. You know, it's been so consistently good for so long now, and we can only just hope that Tabata keeps up the quality. But this chapter is going to be awesome. Like, even as a lot of it was a setup for this battle, you know, this big climactic battle with this devil, we still don't have a name for, but it was still so good, even the first part. Like, the chapter opens, you have Yami and Carla, and they're just talking, and he's getting healed by her. They're kind of like wrapped up, and they're touching the weird creature that like messes with magic. I'm wondering why they're not getting hurt. Maybe it's because of the light magic. Maybe there's something going on between them, and maybe it's because they're not physically touching it. Maybe it's their clothes. I don't know. That's not where my intention is. But we get back to the battle, and Lumiere shows up with Sekri there on the scene. And again, I thought this was really cool, even though, you know, I'm not going to make assumptions, but I feel like a lot of people are going to be, you know, talking about the meat of this chapter of, you know, the big clash of these two characters going against this demon, this devil from a different dimension, and, you know, these legends like Lumiere, the very first Wizard King, and Licht, the elder of the elves, and you know, they're big deals. But I really loved seeing those panels of Asta and Yuno like seeing Lumiere and just being like jaw dropped, like at a gasp. And it's just like, especially like Yuno's just like Asta being excited and just pumped up and just like, oh my god, wow, this is crazy. It's normal, like he does it all the time, but it's still like, you know that he's way more like astonished at what's happening than normal, and Yuno's just like, wow. I don't. That's Lumiere the first. They say Magic Emperor in this chapter. I like Magic Emperor more than Wizard King, but whatever tickles your fancy. But Asa, who's like freaking, I was like, wow, it's the real deal. How is he doing this? How is he here? And Yuno, again, like Yuno being like kind of shaken up over this, and he's like, come down. I think we're just seeing things. It was just so cool because again, he's usually a dude who's very calm, he's very collected, he knows what he's saying, he knows how he's going about things, and here we have him just kind of like flustered and flabbergasted at seeing the first, I like Magic Emperor, Lumiere. And you know, the thing about them that's really cool is it's similar to like looking at like how a lot of the people in My Hero Academia view All Might. It's not just that he's a hero; they have a lot of like fan views of him because of them growing up, hearing of this legendary guy. And this is for them, you know, a legend of legends. And you have all the Wizard Kings or Magic Emperors, and this is the very first one. This is the one that started them all. This is the one whose statue was what they thought was a statue was mounted on the top of the giant demon skeleton that, you know, was on the border of their country. You know, the guy who's like in the most probably beloved, famed guys within their history. You know, it was just an astonishing moment for them, and it's kind of weird. But like, I was a little bit sad. Like, I got legitimately a little bit bummed because you saw Austin look at and Sekri, and he's like, that girl looks something about her seems a little familiar. And she just doesn't really pay him any mind. I was like, I just wanted them to have some small interaction, even one panel, just something. Maybe it'll be after this battle, because she's talking about how like you know, Lictus takes precedence and need to go help him. And since she's like explored the possibilities and like limits of her magic, she's gotten like a lot more powerful. And she's like, because of the fact that Licht used forbidden magic, it made it so he's not fully awakening even after the reincarnation took place. And she ends up unlocking him entirely, and he's like, he goes back to the way he was before, and he's just like thanking Lumiere. He's that kind of much more peaceful, much more loving and compassionate guy that he was made out to be in the flashbacks. And we were always like, you know, what happened? Why is he why is he a jerk now? Why has he become such a hateful, malefic guy? And obviously we found that out later, but Then we found out after that wasn't actually him. That was Patri, and Lumiere is actually still wanting to be with his friend. They're buddies, and they're happy to see each other again. But the demon, he's just like, you know what? Fuck it. Fuck you guys being together again. Great. This just means I can kill you again, and I can do it with my body instead of manipulating people. Because now it's going to be a lot more personal. Because before it was just like, fuck these guys, they're getting in my way. Now it's like, you guys ruined my plan 500 years ago, and now I had to go through another 500 years to reconstruct it. We don't know how old the demons are, from their dimension. We don't know if 500 years is, still a long time, because if they're like thousands and thousands of years, 500 probably doesn't feel that long, but still, hindering, getting in the way of what they're doing probably pissed them off. But, and now we have Licht, who's just like thinking, I really liked that after, reuniting with Lumiere, Licht went to talk to Patri, and he's, talking about how, that he'd been watching him, and he saw like all the stuff he did, and even though all the bad things that he did, he wasn't doing it out of like a bad place. He was trying to help his people, trying to help the elves, and Lumiere really just is like, trying to give him some form of credit for him. And you could tell that Patri, after everything and finding out, he's been used, and everything that he did actually led to these horrible things, and he's obviously been very much beside himself over it, very torn. And he especially saw when he went into in that dark elf, like deep depravities portion to it. But Licht is just like consoling him, forgiving him, really helping him, and just going around as this loving dude. And that was nice. You can tell why the elves love, they really love him. They see him more than just a really powerful guy. They see him pretty much as their true leader, and on a personal level rather than just he's very strong and he knows what he's doing. Clearly, they connect with him on a lot of levels. But now we have the devil, the demon guy, and he's just like, all right, let's do this. Enough chit chat. Let's get back to the battle that we should have settled 500 years ago. And we got, oh my god, this was cool. Like, the attacks weren't extravagant. Like, attacks don't always need to be extravagant, but it is cool seeing like their naming scheme. So we have not only just like magic from Lumiere, we got magic from Lumiere in Mana Zone. So he's using light magic, Mana Zone, lamp of, I don't know how to pronounce, Avior, Gloria. So, and then they describe it, it's like a star, but it also can mean my father as light, which is pretty cool. And then Licht sword magic, origin flash that he used before, but a multi-hit. So you see these kind of multiple slash marks going around, as well as light magic. Just in multiple different bursting places, busting up the creature that the devil summoned. And then below it, you see him thinking he's like, they took magic of this world and scattered that world's magic. Obviously, talking about his dimension. And he says, a user of the highest levels of forbidden magic and a person who absorbs said magic. So I'm wondering a little bit of that, because absorbing magic is obviously Licht's thing, because it's gonna be something similar to anti-magic, but obviously instead of it's not just like anti-magic in general. It seems more of I'm assuming it's more of, if you've read the Black Clover one-shot, the swords originally, Ox's sword wasn't anti-magic. It was his swords would steal magic, so he could hit a spell, absorb it, and then clad that spell onto his sword. And that seems to be what's going on with Licht. It's more of like, because he says absorbs said magic. So he's got, he's got this magic instead of being able to use other people's magics and magics around him in combat. So it makes me very curious. He's talking about he's talking about Lumiere of using forbidden magic. So because you'd think that would be Licht, but it looks like he's talking about Lumiere. And maybe I'm just misreading this part. If you're sitting there saying like Rex, you didn't get that part right. Here's what really he meant by that. Then, do tell me. I do like it. I always get a little bit salty when people correct me, and I'm like, damn it, how did I miss that? But at the same time, I appreciate the input, and helping me out. But the reason why I really liked this panel, and this is the one I used for the review for the chapter, is this was what I was hoping for in a battle when, you have a guy who can move around and throw attacks at light speed, and this guy that can compete with him. you know, you throw an attack at the devil, he dodges it, misses. But Lumiere, you know, is being the straightforward offense where you have Licht being in the back. Anything that misses, he's gonna grab and use in his own way with his sword and bring it back in a different sense. And then you have the sick panel where Lumiere stabs the devil right through the chest, similar to how he was stabbed when or similar to how he stabbed Demon Licht 500 years prior. But then right at that point, the devil creates a weird looking malicious trident, and it almost looks like it's made of flesh, and shatters through Lumiere's sword and ends up, like, you know, just cutting off one of his arms. I'm wondering if he could be fine reattaching it since it's seemingly stone. You know, it'd be really cool if Sekri was like, I'm gonna seal your arm back on. That'd be really cool. I think that'd be a really, like, OP way to use her power. Then we get into kind of like weird concept ways of how her power could work. I don't know. But then, like, they kind of describe it as like the trident can break down magic. And I was wondering if that had anything to do with anti-magic, because obviously, you know, he's from a different world where so far we've seen like weird stuff like word magic and the creature from there who can dissolve magic, and then this guy apparently breaks down magic. So I'm wondering how that's going to be explained, what that, like, true thing is going to be. Because it doesn't look like it's just straight anti-magic entirely, but Asta, who comes up and clashes with it, you know, he goes up and hits it, and it doesn't just, like, break off. So I'm wondering where that's going to lead up to. Asta's got, you know, the fully charged black sword, you know, he's got more anti-magic in it, and he's got his form on. I'm wondering if it's going to be the same level that we saw when him and you know, progressed, and they got a little bit more of their form. You know, doesn't look like he's in his spirit dive, and I can't see much of Asta. I can see the horn and obviously his black hand and the sword being pitched black as it is when he uses the form. But I don't see any of, like, I feel like the horn, the way that it's that long and far out, that it might be that upgraded one, but I don't know. But a good chapter. I'm very intrigued. The thing I'm super intrigued about is the fact that Asta's sword clashed with that trident and it didn't cut right through it. Because if it was anti-magic, or if it was magic, then it would just dispelled it. But I feel like it's not directly anti-magic. Maybe it's some other form of direct, like, it'll be explained as some magic that disrupts and messes with other magic, but anti-magic is different. Or maybe it's the material it's made out of. And, like, maybe, like, anti-magic comes from a type of special mineral, and maybe that's why the swords are special, and they can they're not just like, it's not like a magic formed weapon against similar to like Fonzel's, but maybe like the devil has like a crude version, but Asta's swords are much more much different. Maybe they're like filled with like raw anti-magic energy. I don't know. We'll figure that out soon. But again, it was mostly a setup chapter. We had the characters coming in. We had a lot of discussions of, you know, characters interacting, going back and forth. You know, the really nice part with Licht and Patri. But even at the start of a fight, like, it was just cool. That quick moment, you know, both of them getting serious, busting out two cool spells, you know, moving around. I love this, like, the idea of, you know, them competing with each other. Like, when two characters are in such good sync, and the way that they're able to pretty much fight off each other like that, like, just the way that, like, anytime that Lumiere throws a spell, it's either gonna hit, or if it misses, here's Licht in the back grabbing onto it and utilizing it in his own way. And just, like, imagine that. It's like some cool, like, Riku and Sora stuff from Kingdom Hearts. Like, you remember that fight at the end of Kingdom Hearts 2, and these guys who never really fought battles together in the other games, but because they grew up together, they just were on such a wavelength, they were able to really just, you know, get readings off each other and interact and fight without having to really say, you know, exactly what they want the other to do, which is really cool. And I like that. It gives them a cool dynamic duo sense. Asta and Yuno have that. And I like that now Asta and Yuno can see two other, you know, good rival characters, but legendary figures too on top of that. So tell me in the comments what you think about this. Tell me how you thought about this chapter. I thought it was pretty epic. I thought it was a great way to start a fight without it just being like, end of chapter, the characters clash, and that's it. It's like, all right, we're gonna have just a couple of cool panels and spells thrown out. They don't have to be giant, extravagant, like, explosions and like all the clouds in the sky vanish out and you just see the night and like You get some explanation of some really crazy power. It was just like some cool big energy attacks and, you know, sword slashes and whatnot, and a good Asta still, and, you know, still being relevant in the fight. So good stuff there. Other than that, I'd really appreciate if you thumbs up the video, from the like button and the subscribe button, and check out my other videos. But other than that, I appreciate everyone who's already subscribed, and I thank y'all for listening. Bye.